Well, this is my post-race video. The race didn't go quite as exactly how I wanted to finish the race, but it's part of off-road racing, and it is what it is. Learned a lot, had a blast, going back in 24. So off the start, it was pretty awesome. It was a little nervous at first. It was a big to-do. But, going down the Melicon at 60 miles an hour is kind of cool. And the people, I just could not believe how many people were out there. So went down the Melicon, they hit the 30 mile an hour speed zone and was doing good there. And then got out on Highway 1 back up to 60 miles an hour. Two dogs run out in front of me, come out, and I had to dodge around them going up Highway 1. Then I turned and we hit the dirt. And as soon as I turned, I went, what the hell? It was just lined with people on both sides of that dirt road, and fires and stuff going. And I remember the turn, hooking a right, and going. Just so many people cheering. You can hear them cheering you and everything. It was really cool. And I got to the steps, the rock steps, and I'm shooting up. I'm climbing up them pretty good. I get to the last one, or one before last, and my bike hits and then does this, and that bike, whiskey throttles real easy, and I boom, popped it open. The bike launched up, and I went like that, and I went, oh shit, nothing but drop off. And when I hit right on the edge of the drop off, I just threw my arm out, drug it, and grabbed a rock. So I'm literally sitting on the bike, hanging off the side of this cliff, basically. It's all I could see was just pure darkness, and it was pretty steep. And the front tire stuck a cactus. And I'm hanging on to that, and I'm just yelling for somebody to come help me. Because I can't pick the bike up, and I'm not about to let go of it, and because I don't know how far down it is. And pretty soon, a bunch of the Mexicans come running over, and one goes down in front of my bike, and he grabs a hold of the bike and hangs onto it because he's sliding off the hill. And so they start pulling my bike up. When they're pulling it. I'm still on the bike. They're really pulling the bike through me, and it knocks off my Stella. And it's all I feel is this hand come down, grab my pack, and literally stand me up right in front of him. And I looked at him, I'm like, thanks, dude. Now I weigh 185 pounds, fully dressed and everything. And the dude picked me up like a rag doll. Big ass guy. So anyways, fired the bike back up. They got my Stella back on, and I took off. Went for a while. Stella fell off again, and I had to put that on. But I should back up a minute. Back to the start. I'm getting ready to go through the gate at the start. And Marty looks down. She goes, low battery on my phone for tracking. The system that I had wired up for some reason kept turning off, and I was losing power on my phone. And her heart sank, and I'm like, screw it. I'll just follow the crowd to get there. And I really didn't have a hard time figuring out the track. I didn't pre-run. I have a thing about pre-running. I just don't like doing it. So anyways, it was dead. So I just took off and went, and then it would kick back on, turn back off, kick back on, turn back off. I'm like, what the hell? So I went the first 126 miles pretty much with no navigation, and got to Bob and Annie, and they got it working again for me, and it only lasted a little bit longer, and it cut out again. And there's something in the system why it just doesn't work that way. I don't know why. We'll figure it out. But anyways, I saw them, took off, was doing okay, and found a silt bed in a turn when I was clipping along pretty good. Well, needless to say, the silt at night got the better part of me. As soon as I hit that silt, it just washed me out. My left foot came off of the bike and literally got stuck in between the tire and right here, and my foot sticking out the other side, and the bike's laying over on top of me. Bike weighs 200 and some odd pounds, and I'm in silt, and my foot's sticking through, and my right leg's still over the bike, and I'm trying to get off, and I can't move it. So I'm pushing up right here to keep this off because I could feel the bike trying to pop my knee out. I could literally feel my knee about to say goodbye and dislocate or pop, whatever it wanted to do. I could feel it. And I'm bruised from here to here. And of course it caught me just above the boot. It couldn't have caught me down in the boot. It had to catch me above the boot. So anyways, I'll show you a little bit on that, what my boot looks like. Because I think that the thing was just spinning. The tire was just spinning for a few seconds, and it pretty well put rubber right into my boot. It melted into the boot. But laying there for quite a while, just holding the bike up, going, well, eventually somebody will come. And pretty soon another rider showed up, and we got the bike lifted up, and I put it neutral, and we rolled my leg out. I jumped back up. I'm like, oh, cool, I feel all right. And I kept seeing something blink in the corner of my eye. My blue light that was clipped in, literally, you had to push a little button to get it out. It flew off and hit the ground. That's how hard I hit. And thank God for the Alpine Star armor system that I used. It took like 3 hard impacts, and I walked away because of those. And it cushioned a ton of the blows, and I got off pretty hard 3 times. But so to that I got going again, and then came up to that massive mud hole that I don't know if you could see any of the videos or anything, and the bike stuck in it. I pull up, stop, and look at that, and pretty soon a couple of Mexicans jump out of the bushes, and they pointed like that, and I just went, okay, so I just went around it and went on my merry way. But I was running the lead nav on my phone. Well worth the money. It didn't have any issues. It was the charging system, the power system to my phone is what the issue was. The lead nav worked bitching. So it was a little bit of a pain in the ass for Marty to get loaded up and get working. But it was worth it. You know, it was quite a bit of money to make it happen, but it worked really well. I just used a wireless earbud, and I only had to change it once in the race. And it just talked to me. And it was pretty cool. It's kind of like I had somebody with me the whole time. And it just made the whole race easier. And I was going along at another silt bed after that one crash where my foot got stuck. And I'm clipping along again. It was a offset silt bed like that, and I just hit right smack dab into it, not realizing how deep it was, and it threw me over. And the handguard on that side, on the throttle side, flipped up and smacked me right on the femur side of my thigh, on the left side, and it bruised me all the way to the bone. And let me tell you, I'm still hurting to this day from it. It's getting better, but I'm bruised all the way to the bone. And looks like I got gangrene, the color of my leg. But got going again. Just kept having trouble with the lead nav. So got to my pit at 126, and they couldn't get the power to work right. And I just told them, I said, look, just put a power bank on it. And it worked great for a while. And they told me I had 4 hours to get to check 1 before I timed out. And I did it in just barely over 2 hours. I was clipping pretty good. So I went from 126 to whatever the heck it was. Was it 200 miles?
Yeah.
Or 100 and something miles?
I was at 201.
Yeah, 201. So I went from 126 to 201 and was just moving as fast as I could. And got there, and Marty figured out it was the cord the whole time. So we switched the cord, and it worked fine ever since. After that, it worked completely fine after that. It worked fine. So she was at 201, and I still had to get to chase 3 at check 1 past Marty. So I still had quite a ways to go. A lot of it's still a blur, trying to remember what was where and what was going on. But the bike was running crappy. We noticed it when we tested on the beach. It was kind of sputtering a little bit. But I was like, it'll be all right. It actually got worse, so it slowed me down tremendously. It slowed the bike down a lot. Then the power would come back in. Then the power would go away. But if I was 5th gear pinned, running good and hard, the bike ran fine. But if I was in like 4th gear, 3/4 throttle, it was just sputtering and doing this and trying to make me fall off the bike. It was just fighting me all the way. And it progressively got worse. So anyways, after that, I got to them. They checked out the bike, did a chain adjustment, did a few other things. Creo did all that. And I took off. and the road was just hard packed and just tons of little rocks and bigger rocks and everything just everywhere. So it was bouncing off of that, and it sucked. And then my navigation wasn't working in my ear. I'm like, what the heck? So that's when I realized I had to change my earbud. So I found out that if you let it sit too long, it locks up and it won't work. So you have to reboot the lead nav if it sits too long without running. So I had to stop a few times. Then I got into a lot of water crossings and a lot of big boulders and rocks and stuff that were just nice and polished and shiny. And the first ones I hit, it about dumped me. So I'm like, I'm going to take it easy going over all this stuff. It's pretty slippery. But doing good. Just cruising through all the stuff, figuring I'll just cruise to my next pit, take a break, and then I'll get back up on it and get my momentum going again. Well, I was going through the Laredo Wash, coming up the Laredo Wash to the bridge. I just punched it for all the fans and was doing really cool through there. And I know there's got to be pictures and stuff out there. And then I got into the second half. That second half was like, it was all over the place. It sucked. It was not a fun side. And so I backed off of it, and plus the bike was just getting worse and worse and worse on running. And pretty soon a helicopter starts buzzing me, and I kind of looked up at him like, what the hell's going on? And then he came down and hit me with his air, and I thought, oh, he's serious about something. So I pulled over to the side as Minzy comes through, and Bryce Minzy is like something of another world. He came through, and then Alpudia came through a little bit later. But I pulled over for that, and I smelled something. I looked down and went, oh, crap. And I just had water running out of my water pump area. And I thought, well, I just broke something. But it was a rock apparently came up and hit my hose, and it split it. It's a brand new, extra thick hose, and it split it. Yes, Brian, you were right. I should have double wrapped them. Yes, you're right. You were right. I know you're saying, I told you so. But you did. You told me so, and I didn't do it. I'm sorry. But anyways, lesson learned. Won't happen again. And so there I sat for over 5 some odd hours till people could figure out where I was at. Marty was out of cell service. I used my sat phone. I called Tyler up in Lewiston to start getting the word out. And I called Baja Nikki to start getting word out. I can't remember who else I called. I tried calling Marty's sat phone a million times and wasn't getting through to her. She couldn't hear the ringer. It was just kind of a little bit of a learning curve on that part. So while I'm sitting there waiting, then I could hear my team chatting on the radio and that, and they finally get contact with me, and they're just like 2 miles in the area. So they come over, and they're coming up the wash. In the corner of my eye, I see something move over here into the bushes. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Then I could hear a couple guys talking in Spanish. I'm like, what the heck? And I was like, something feels odd about this. So I said, oh, good, there you guys are. You're right there. You're coming up the road to me. I see you. And about that time, they said something split. So I think I have a funny feeling if I would have left my bike alone, it wouldn't be there. So I wouldn't leave my bike. And plus, it was tracking, so it knew where I was. But not saying anything was going to happen. It just was kind of odd what was going on. But I feel worried. Nah, I didn't feel worried about nothing. Nothing bothered me. It was kind of interesting sitting there watching all the trophy trucks go by and the class ones. I was there long enough that the 1600s and the side-by-sides were coming by. That's how long I was there. But it was really cool. And
talk about the buzzards.
Oh, shit, I forgot. Yeah. So, I still got other things that happened. So back up a little bit more. When I'm hauling ass trying to make up time, I'm going and I see 5 buzzards on the side of the road. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? And they get up and fly away. There's a lot of rabbits that were hit from the wave ahead of me. A lot of rabbits were hit. So they were having their morning breakfast or whatever it was. And they all flew to the right. And I thought, okay, so I cranked back on the throttle. Here comes one back. And it's all I could see is this wing totally blacked me out. And the wing hit my hand. And I thought, yep, I'm going to be taken out in Baja by a buzzard. I could just see the highlights about that. But he clipped me, and I was like, okay, this happened. It was kind of cool. But while I was making up time to get to check 1, I went head on with 3 vehicles. And I never lifted. I just stayed on the gas and never lifted because I was in kind of crappy dirt and that. And I thought, well, it put me down. They got out of my way immediately, and I just stayed in the right lane of the 2-track, and I just stayed in the right and just stayed pinned. And I thought it was the best thing for it, and it was, because I was worried if I let off, it would dump me right into the cars. But they got out of my way. Only one stayed just over in the next lane, but you know, is what it is, and that's Baja Racing. You either accept it or you don't, and I accepted. It was a blast. I had so much fun. Trying to think what else there was. It was just cool. The fans were awesome. They did direct me the correct way. Nobody gave me bad directions without having navigation. And there was one, I'm on a long dirt road, and it was just flat and easy, and I was going, and pretty soon here comes a quad the other way, and he's blinding me, and I had two riders chasing me, and he went past me, and I stopped, and he stopped way back there with them, and I thought, crap, did we miss the turn? So I turned around for a minute and went like 50 feet and went, oh shit, right there's a marker. No, I'm on the course. But he blinded me with his lights. I couldn't see I was on there. I still don't know if it was a racer or somebody on a quad screwing around or what, because he couldn't tell with so much light. And off I went and just kept going. But I learned a lot. Do I feel failure? No, I didn't fail at all. I went 27 miles. It was originally 25, but after I sat there for a little while, the Stella updated and it said 327.34. So that was another reason why the people couldn't find me. I had to keep telling them, keep coming up the track. I'm up here further. I'm not at 325. I'm further up. But it was an amazing experience. I thank every single soul that donated and every person that sent me some money and helped me out and sponsored me. I totally thank you guys. I'm going back in 24. I know what I need to do to improve and be better and faster and make it happen. But you know, hanging on the side of that hill, man, mass majority of everybody got past me. And then having a couple of issues, they just put some time on me, but it wasn't enough time for me to worry about. I was going to catch them up. A bunch of them dropped out and only 9 finished. So I had a plan that I was just going to just keep my momentum going, but the bike had a different plan for me. But I do thank Bryce Minzy for catching me and saving me a motor, because I'd have never known that water was going and I would have toasted my motor. So I totally thank you for that if you ever see this video. I thank you for being so goddamn fast and catching me when I was having issues. But pretty impressed when you went by me, though. That was pretty rad. But yeah, that's really about it. That's about all what happened. And it was just an awesome, amazing experience, and I thank everybody for helping me get there. And we're going to do it again next year, so I'll be hitting you all up again. Thanks, guys.